right? Kasi di ba, nung pumutok yung issue about the impeachment, isa sa mga nag-signify that will stand as legal counsel will be former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. So with the arrest and then they are now en route to The Hague, Netherlands, isa yan siguro sa mga epekto or implikasyon na mawawala ng isang defense counsel. Ito pong si VP Sara Duterte.
Thank you, Chris Chanel. Let's now turn to Tina Panganiban Perez from GMA7.
At least sa akin hindi po. Sir, baliktad naman yung tanong ko. What if may makuhang bagong evidence yung ICC on EJK? Gagamitin po ba yun ng prosecution in the impeachment trial? Pwede nating hingin yun?
Well, we can consider that because, again, any and all evidence that will, of course, make our case more strong or stronger definitely can be used against the impeachment complaint. But probably, if we can remember that the articles of impeachment was already filed before the Senate, and it's voluminous, and all the pieces of evidence were already attached to there. But of course, if there are other testimonial evidence, other witnesses who are willing to testify before the Senate sitting as an impeachment trial court, definitely we can consider that. But as of this moment, we have to study and we have to discuss it along with all other prosecution, the public, as well as the private prosecutors.
Sir, pag may pag ongoing na yung impeachment trial, kailangan po bang magpaalam ni VP Sara kung meron siyang trips abroad, whether personal or official?
Well, for me, I cannot answer that as of this moment because, you know, when the impeachment trial, the trial per se has already started, trips by the respondent should be requested, I think, before the court. Because in ordinary litigation practice, if yung akusado ay gusto mag-travel abroad, kailangan po mag-seek ng permission sa husgado or sa judge. So again, that question would be best if we could ask the Senate once the trial start by, I don't know when.
Opo, sir. Sir, on the tasking naman, sabi po kasi ni Kong Chua, may mga assignments na po kayo ng articles. Ano po yung assignment po ninyo, sir? Kong Jill.
Well, I was tasked to handle Article 2 of the Articles of Impeachment plus Article 3. And we are given the free will to join other articles, but I guess these two articles are already, enough for me to handle because we are considering that we will be discussing confidential funds of the OBP as well as the Department of Education, and Article 3 is with respect to the bribery among the officials of the DepEd. So these are the matters that were discussed thoroughly in the investigations of the Committee on Good Government. So with these two articles, for me, sapat na para sa akin, no, i-handle at pag-aralan. At yung iba naman, of course, yung mga kasama namin, we have already distributed, no, the taskings. Meron nang naka-assign sa Article 1 and other articles. So yun po yung mga napag-usapan namin, no, during the previous meetings. And this is in preparation for the upcoming trial.
Thank you, sir.
Tina, Melalis Moras from PTV4, you're recognized.
Hi, good morning, Kongs. Panggalingan ko lang po yung statement today nila Kong Zia at Kong Jude na this is about the victims, not ex-President Duterte. Quadcom leaders urge focus on the families of Tokhang killings amid former president's arrest. Can you just elaborate po yung statement. And yun nga, don't you think, Kongs, masyado pong na-highlight si dating Pangulong Duterte sa pagkaka-aresto niya due to the ICC case? And kahit ang daming mga rally, ang daming ding mga interview ng mga families ng EJK victims, parang hindi sila masyadong nabibigyang pansin. Ano pong nakikita niyong rason dito at yun yung elaboration po ng statement?
Well, palagi natin sinasabi, no, we've been consistently repeating it. Itong nangyari kahapon, ang pag-aresto kay dating Pangulong Duterte ay hindi ho, itong pangyayaring ito hindi ho dahil kay, sana ito natin yung pansin natin, hindi kay Presidente Duterte, kung dun sa mga biktima ng AJK, napakarami po nila. Nung nagsimula po yung trial, nung nagsimula po yung Quadcom hearings, no, nagkaroon ako ng pagkakataong makausap ang marami sa kanila. And many of them are children. You have Kian de los Santos, hindi ako nagkakamali, was only 17 years old, grade 11, taga Caloocan. Meron si Carlo Angelo Ernais, valedictorian nung high school, 19 years old, nag-aaral sa UP. Ang ginawa sa kanya, nawala siya, bibili lang sana ng merienda, pero nakita after 10 days, if hindi ako nagkakamali, ang sabi ng pulis, dinakip siya dahil sinubukan niyang i-hold up yung isang taxi driver. Nandun si Reynaldo Colot de Guzman, 14 years old, taga Nueva Ecija. Nandun si Danica May Garcia, 5 years old, taga Dagupan. Nandun si Althea Barbon, 4 years old, taga Negros. Si Skylar Abatay, 4 years old, taga Cebu. Yung taga Cebu, nasa likod lang siya ng motor ng tatay niya. Si Maika Ulpina, 3 years old. 3 years old. Pinakabata sigurong AJK victims. I think habang nangyayari ho kahapon, habang iniisip natin, habang minomonitor natin yung nangyayari, alam mo, sa totoo lang, yun yung pabalik-balik sa isip ko, yung mga victims. Katulad niya nung sinabi nung isang nanay, isang victim, sabi niya, sinasabi nila na we surrender daw our sovereignty sa sa pagka-aresto ni former President Duterte dahil sa ICC warrant. Pero hindi ba mas nakakalungkot na kailangang isang korte sa labas ng bansa pa ang mag-utos para magkaroon ng hustisya yung mga AJK victim? Hindi ba nakakalungkot yon? Kaya nga iniiwasan ko yung word na Thanksgiving o celebration Kasi sa totoo lang itong mga panahon na to dapat simulan natin yung paghihilom, lalong-lalo na sa AJK victims. I think we owe it to them to make sure na simulan na yung healing, but that healing will come only through one thing, through justice. At itong ginagawa nating exercise, lalong-lalo na sa yung trial sa ICC ay kasama po doon sa paghilom, ang paghahanap po ng katarungan at pagbibigay pananagutan sa taong posible dumeno nagsimula at nag-utos ng mga pangyayaring ito.
Saka siguro magandang isipin din natin, saka alalahanin, dapat hindi makalimutan ng taong bayan itong mga biktima ng AJK, itong mga taong namatay ng walang rason, pinagbababansagan sila na collateral damage lang. This is a story of justice. Kwento po to ng hustisya, itong mga nangyayari ngayon. But this story is not yet over. And ang siguraduhan lang po ay hindi po natutulog ang hustisya, saka hindi po natutulog ang Diyos.
And I think si Attorney Bongalan can also answer this, and also other congressman pwede rin po. Sabi kasi ni Attorney Panelo, illegal yung pagkakadetain kay former President Duterte. Di ba kahapon ang tagal din bago po siya naibiyahe. Kasi wala naman daw warrant from any Philippine court at yung authority ng ICC should not be recognized dahil hindi na tayo member. Any thoughts po?
Okay. So, well, on that aspect, again, we have to remember that the effectivity of the withdrawal of the Philippine government under the Rome Statute took effect last March of 2019. But the case was filed prior to its withdrawal. In other words, the International Criminal Court has already acquired jurisdiction over it. The investigation has already started, and the issuance of the warrant is legal and valid pursuant to the international rules. So having said that, the issuance of the warrant was of course issued, and it was coordinated with the Interpol, of which wherein the Philippine government is a party. And being a party, we have the obligation and we are duty bound to have this warrant of arrest be implemented. And that is why the warrant, as issued hours before the arrival of former President Duterte in the Philippines, in other words, natanggap na po ng gobyerno yung tinatawag na warrant of arrest. And wala tayong magagawa but to implement and effect the warrant. So yung sinasabi naman na illegal arrest or detention, I would like to inform Attorney Panelo of the provisions under the Rules of Court, which states that, basahin natin. Sinasabi is that when making an arrest by virtue of a warrant, the arresting officer must inform the person to be arrested of the cause of the arrest and the fact that a warrant has been issued. Ibig sabihin, the officer is not required to have the warrant in their possession at the time of the arrest. And sinasabi pa po dito, and if the person arrested requests to see the warrant, it must be shown to them as soon as practicable. These rules or particular rule under the Rules of Court was, of course, upheld and reiterated in a jurisprudence case decided by the Supreme Court, wherein the Supreme Court emphasized that the constitutional requirement to inform the person of the reason for the arrest and the exercise and the existence of a warrant must be observed. However, the physical presentation of the warrant can be deferred if circumstances make it impractical at the time of the arrest. We have to be clear on this. A warrant has already been issued. The warrant is digital. It was sent online. So, as to the existence of a warrant, the warrant is existing. It was coursed through to the proper channels. It was informed. The government was properly informed. So, by being a member of the International Criminal Police Organization or the Interpol, we are duty bound to implement and effect the warrant.
If I may add, no, I think the jurisdiction of the ICC, despite our withdrawal from the Rome Statute, has been affirmed already by the Supreme Court, especially in the ruling in Pangilinan versus Cayetano. No? Sinabi na despite our withdrawal, our obligations remain, especially for cases that has been initiated before the withdrawal took effect in 2019. And that includes this. The cases filed at the ICC against the former president. I think what many are doing, especially on the Duterte camp, no, are trying to confuse the people with all these technicalities. When what happened yesterday was fair, nakita naman natin, nandun yung warrant, was served, binasa yung Miranda rights, and then he was taken in custody, and then proper medical attention was given, and then the country is duty bound to deliver him to the Interpol, who in turn will deliver the former president to the Hague. I think everything subscribes to the provisions of the rules of the ICC as well as the Rome Statute, and I don't think there's any reason to believe that there was invalidity or that the arrest was illegal.
Nagpapapansin lang.
Sorry, ihabol ko na rin yung isang tanong po ni Ate Kathleen Forbes. Sabi ni SP Cheese, dun sa kanyang statement about this issue, I also call on those running in the midterm elections to refrain from using this issue to fan the flames of partisanship in order to further their candidacies, as this is a serious issue that involves lives and should not be trifled with for petty personal or political gain. Do you share the same call po?
For once, no, I would agree with the Senate President. Hindi po ito usapin ng tungkol sa kay President Duterte, hindi ito usapin ng kampo ng mga Duterte versus kanino. Ito po yung usapin ng krimen na nagawa, di ba? Extrajudicial killings will always be illegal. It will always be against the law. Hindi naman pwedeng ang fight against drug, kailangan na mamili kung it cannot be a choice between justice and mercy. We have to apply the rule of law. And in this case, we cannot allow personalities to define the narrative, whether it's pro or against. Dapat, kaya ako paulit-ulit, dapat ang attention natin nandun sa mga biktima. Sila po dapat ang binibigyan natin ng pansin. Kung sino man ang kailangang managot sa pagpatay sa mga taong ito, sa mga biktima ng AJK, kailangan managot anuman ang naging posisyon niya sa gobyerno natin.
Susundan ko yung sinabi ni Kong Jude, no? Nag-agree talaga tayo dyan kasi nga nung ito ay mga kasong nahain. Wala pa po kami lahat dito sa 19th Congress. Nasa kanya-kanyang mga buhay pa kami noon. Ako, konsehal, si Kong Jude, nandito pero not as a congressman. Si Jill has been working in the province and practicing law. So, wala talagang, yung desisyon na to, sabi ko nga, 7 years. Wala pa kami lahat dito. So, talagang, parang kailangan nilang tignan maigi. Mahirap kasi pag, pag gusto mo, pabor lahat sa'yo. Hindi pwedeng pabor lahat sa'yo. Dapat accountable ka for your actions. Hindi naman pwedeng maghari-harian ka na lang habang buhay. Kasi sabi ko nga, hindi natutulog ang hustisya. Bilog ang bola.
Yes, I totally agree. A statement of Senator Chisa Escudero, not because he is my fellow kababayan, a Bicolano lawmaker, but also being a leader of the Senate and as a national figure, we want to ask or request to our fellow Filipinos na wag gawing itong issue politika. It's not about politics. It's not about two families who are quarreling. It's about justice. It's about vindication to the victims of EJK. So malayong-malayo po na mahaluan ito ng issue politika sapagkat ang mithiin natin dito ay mabigyan ng hustisya yung mga biktima ng extrajudicial killings na kawawa and until now seeking justice for so many years because of the bloody implementation of war on drugs. So huwag gawing sanang issue political. At wag din ka kumbaga wag nang i-sensationalize not just because a former president was arrested. It's not about him, it's about the victims of the EJKs.
Pero madagdag ko lang this is not to downplay the role that even the Quadcom has played ito sasabihin ko na lang na alam naman natin na dahil sa mga nangyaring investigasyon din nagkaroon ng mas klarong pananaw ang taong bayan tungkol sa totoong nangyari nung panahon ng Duterte administration. And I think credit has to be given to where credit is due, 'di ba? But I think rather than claiming credit, the members of the Quadcom are rather happy to know that the people have yung ginawa nating investigasyon ay umabot na sa puntong pumapabor sa tao, pumapabor sa katarungan at katotohanan yung ginawa nating pagdinig.
Thank you, Mela. I appeal for patience. Medyo mahaba ang pila. Okay, next questions will come from Gab Lalu of Inquirer online.
Hello. Sir, follow-up ko lang dun sa tungkol kay SP Cheese Escudero, yung statement niya. Kasi kahapon, na-interview namin si Father Flavi, one of the resource persons dun sa Quadcom nga. Siya yung nag-aalaga dun sa ibang mga kamag-anak ng mga biktima. And he believes yung pagkaka-aresto kay former President Duterte has connections to the election kasi yung mga kaalyado niya tumatakbo pa rin sa 2025 midterm elections. What do you think of that, sir? Parang sa kanila, election issue pa rin talaga siya.
I think ang mga bagay katulad ng katarungan, pananagutan, accountability, transparency, those are valid election issues, no. I think regardless of the personalities involved, kailangan naman talaga tignan natin kung sino yung totoong may pagmamalasakit, totoong may pagsunod sa rule of law. Yun naman yung mga pamantayan na kailangan nating sundin sa pagpili ng susunod na leader. But whether or not the exact issue at hand, no, itong pag-aresto ay konektado sa election, I think everybody is entitled to their own interpretation of things. But I don't want to invalidate the observation by saying na hindi to election issue. I think this should be an election issue for the main reason na issues like transparency, accountability, rule of law should be part of the standards kung paano tayo pipili ng susunod na leader ng ating bansa.
Sir, another question po. Ngayon pong nasa custody din ng ICC si former President Duterte, do you think more witnesses would come out or even people directly involved in extrajudicial killings? Do you think they would now have the courage to speak out or testify against the former president and his allies?
Sigurado yun na mas lalong may mga taong magka-come forward. Saka yung mga tao sigurong mas takot dati, medyo nawawala na yung takot nila. At yun nga, yung iba naman na kinakain na ng konsensya, syempre gusto rin nila na mabawasan na yung iniisip nila. Dahil sabi ko nga, this is a story of justice. At ang lahat ng kwento kailangan may katapusan. We have to finish the story. And therefore, sabi ko nga, ang bida dito ang dapat makakamit ng hustisya yung mga biktima po, saka yung mga nakita po natin na pamilya nila.
Yeah, I totally agree. No, if we really observe what happened, closer. Yeah, if we really observe, no, what happened during the past administration, there was no thorough and comprehensive investigation about the EGK, and in fact, one of the actions taken by the House of Representatives is the investigation about the EGK, the drugs, the POGO, and other controversies. So with that investigation, it served as a platform, no, for persons to really enlighten regarding the implementation of the bloody war on drugs. So in fact, the likes of Colonel Espinido appeared and testified before the investigation. So with this development, I guess people will have courage, no, to testify and speak what they know about this bloody war on drugs, and especially on the part of the victims, of the families of the victims, probably, and I expect that people will come out and speak their grievances.
Gusto kong maintindihan ng ating mga kababayan na itong pangyayaring ito, hindi po natin ginigipit si dating Pangulong Duterte. Sinisingil lang ho siya ng taong bayan. Sinisingil po siya sa mga pangyayaring nangyari na bilang Pangulo ay dapat napigilan niya at hindi niya inutusan. Itong mga di umanong pagpatay ng mga EJK victims. Dahil po ito sa kanila. Alam niyo, nung nakasama ko yung mga nasa children's rights movement, sa mga child rights network, Meron siyang documentation, more than 100 na mga bata ang napatay kasama ng AJK. Ang tawag sa kanila collateral damage. Nung yung isang dating PNP chief tinanong tungkol dito, isa lang ang sagot niya, shit happens. Ganong klaseng bansa ba tayo? Na ang tingin natin sa mga napapatay, hindi nga naimbestigahan, hindi nga nabigyan ng katarungan, at ngayon sasabihin natin, politika lang lahat to. Na shit happens lang to.
Sir, of shit happens nga. Isa sa mga co-accused din sa ICC ay si former PNP chief and now Senator Ronald De La Rosa. Do you expect na yung arrest order ay i-release din for him? And meron mga reports na hindi siya matrace recently, hindi na siya makontak.
Well, he's part of the respondents of the case and I think it's a matter of time.
Nasabi nga ni Kong Jude no, na yung mga respondents ng case, paano ko ba sasabihin to? Ayon sa aking
Tubuin.
puting ahas. meron din akong puting ahas. Ayon sa aking puting ahas, hindi na spoiler 'yan yung warrant po dun sa mga kasama po sa kaso na 'yan. Hindi na po spoiler 'yon. Prediction na po 'yon. Saka nandyan na po 'yon ayon sa aking puting ahas.
Kuya, ay sige sir. Sige po sir.
Well, for me, let justice take its course. So let's wait and see.
Kuya, last na lang. Kahapon po nung naaresto nga si former President Duterte, marami pong mga reactions, usually from yung mga naging kritiko niya noon pang nakaraang administrasyon. Marami rin po na mga dati niyang kaalyado ang nagsalita against, in favor of the arrest. What took it so long for the people or for his former allies to realize that there were abuses in the drug war? Was it just because information was not available before or politics? Ano pong sa tingin niyo, sirs?
Well, syempre, ang unang-una talaga dyan, politika, takot, saka nag-aalangan talaga. Pero sabi ko nga, iba yung hugot nila, lalo po yung mga naging biktima, yung mga apektado nito nung earlier parts of his term. Kasi sila po yung mga direktang tinamaan, yung mga victims, yung mga naabuso. Kaya makikita nyo po sa social media, iba talaga yung hugot nila. Sabi ko nga, kami, tinitingnan namin to as parang normal na proceeding in an international venue na wala naman pong in the interest of fairness. Kaya nga po nasa korte ka para once and for all maipagtanggol mo yung sarili mo at i-defend mo rin yung sarili mo para makita natin kung anong resulta at anong hatol nga ng mga kasong ito.
I think paano natin mas nakita na lumaki o lumawak yung suporta kung if any ng shift ng support for the AJK victims. I think dahil din masasabi natin dahil din sa hearing ng Quadcom. Nakita natin paano tayo nabudol at na-scam ng drug war against drugs, no? At nalahad yung totoong nangyari. Direkta mismo hindi lang sa AJK victims but from some personalities that were involved in designing and implementing the war on drugs. I think that was an eye-opener in itself. Kaya na-realize nila na nabudol tayo sa war on drugs, nagkaroon siguro ng lakas ng loob o di kaya mas naliwanagan ang lahat na ang ganitong pangyayari kung saan ginamit ang buong puwersa ng Estado, the entire apparatus of state, to disregard the rule of law in order to achieve some goals other than what's legal, only find this step, itong pag-aresto, kay dating Pangulong Duterte as part of our common pursuit for justice. Hindi na ho nalalayo doon eh. Alangan naman pabayaan natin after lahat ng nalaman namin sa Quadcom at dun sa mga testimonyang ibinigay, hindi po enough na nalaman natin. Kailangan may mangyari, kailangan may managot, kailangan mabigyan ng katarungan ang mga namatay ng AJK.
Short lang, no? Kasi nung nagumpisa po tong Quadcom, talagang naging naging target kami ng fake news, pagpapalaganap ng fake news. Lahat po ng membro ng Quadcom ay pinagsisisira po talaga, lalo nung mga nandun sa kabila. Alam po kasi nila na marami pong lalabas at ma-uncover itong Quadcom. And now, sabi ko nga po, makikita po natin na the Quadcom is legit. At kahit anong fake news sa paninira ang bato nila sa Quadcom, never kaming huminto. Nakabase lang naman po kami sa mga affidavit, saka mga statements po ng ating mga resource person. At ulit-ulitin ko, ngayon, mas siguro nakikita ng taong bayan na the Quadcom is legit.
Okay, thank you, Gab. You may ask your questions. Elson Kismoria from Manila Bulletin.
Hello, Kong, dito po sa left side nyo, sa likod po. Just want to get your reactions po. Bale, ang sinasabi po ng mga kritiko nung pag-aresto kay dating Pangulong Digong, ang tunay na may pakana daw po ng pag-aresto ay ang gobyerno ng Pilipinas under Marcos. Ano pong masasabi po ninyo?
Well, ang una, hindi kami ang nag-file. Hindi ang Administrasyong Marcos ang nag-file ng kaso sa ICC, yung mga biktima mismo. Tapos yung mga kaalyado nila, yun yung unang punto. Hindi po natin masasabi yung administrasyon kasi hindi pa ho sila yung nakaupo nung time na final to. Pangalawa, hindi ho rin ang Administrasyong Marcos ang nagsabi na hurry up. Sila po yung nagmamadali, di ba? Sabi nga niya, bilisan nyo, baka hindi niya na maabutan, di ba? And from that perspective, you have to also understand na itong paghahanap natin ng katarungan, hindi naman one side lang to. Pwede din nating tignan to na pagkakataon sa isang legal na pamamaraan, sa isang legal proceeding, para mailahad din ni former President Duterte yung kanyang side, no? Kasi minsan sa mga pagdinig, alam naman natin, nadadala minsan ang mga tao sa mga kwento, sa mga statements. Ngayon, ang ICC, hindi mabobola ang ICC. Di ba? Wala naman sila, they have nothing to gain from this eh. Hindi naman mga Pilipino ang mga huwes doon. They can be as objective as possible in determining the merits as well as the gravity of the case. I think that's what I'm looking at, no. Ako naintindihan ko totally ang frustration, ang hinanakit, ang galit ng mga nagsusumusuporta kay Pangulong Duterte, pero kung maririnig nyo rin yung sakit, galit at desperation ng mga biktima ng AJK, hindi po papantay doon.
Anybody else po? Yung Marcos government daw po may pakana ng pag-aresto kay Digong.
Fake news po yun.
That's it? Okay.
Okay po. Yes
Sir,
po, yes po.
Just to react on that, I guess it's unfair to accuse it to the present administration or to the Marcos administration. Again, yung timeline, tignan ho natin. Kailan na-file yung kaso? The case was filed during the incumbency of President Duterte. Di ba? Doon nga sa kanyang implementasyon ng war on drugs, that's why we have these EJK victims. And the families of these EJK victims, walang naaasahan, walang ini-expect na hustisya dito sa ating bansa. And that is why they went to the International Criminal Court seeking justice. That case was filed during his incumbency. It so happens that the arrest warrant was issued at the time of Marcos administration. So what will the administration do? Again, we are duty bound under our commitment, no, by being a party, a long-standing member of Interpol. Ginawa lang naman natin yung ating pong obligasyon under that treaty. Hindi po sila ang may pakana nito. It was the ICC who issued the warrant of arrest. And this administration only implemented and effect the warrant of arrest. So, of course, yun yung narrative nila, no? Hinahaluan ng politika. Siguro yun yung pananaw nila. But then again, it is clear that the Marcos administration has no hand in this case. It was the victims, it was the families of the victims of the EJ case who filed this case. Hindi naman kasalanan ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos kung nag-file ng kaso yung mga pamilya ng mga biktima. Again, the case was filed prior to this administration.
Hindi kasi nila blame yung mga EJK victims eh. They will try to make it political at i-divert nila yung issue. Sasabihin nilang Marcos administration, sasabihin nila na political yan, pinulitika kami. Eh bakit hindi nila mabanggit na yung naghain ng kaso is yung mga biktima ng mga namatayan, yung mga namatayan na biktima. So, di nila masabi siguro dahil nagigilty sila sa ginawa nila. Yun lang ang tingin ko dyan, kaya gagawin nilang political issue. Dahil hindi kayang lumabas sa bunganga nila na yung mga taong namatay at yung mga biktima na yan, eh ngayon, nakakamit nila yung hustisya na matagal na nilang inaantay.
Bale, next question ko po. Si Vice President Sara Duterte po, sabi po niya, the ICC's arrest of her father was a blatant affront to sovereignty and also an oppression and persecution. Ano pong masasabi po ninyo doon given the context po nung sitwasyon sa West Philippine Sea nung pong Duterte administration?
Siguro yung statement magandang i-copy-paste. Tapos, ang ilagay nila na issue tungkol dun sa West Philippine Sea. Perfect po yung sagot na yan pag na-copy-paste po tungkol sa West Philippine Sea.
Anybody else po? Sige po, anyway po, it's Digong's 80th birthday sa March 28. Baka may birthday message po kayo sa kanya.
Well, we wish him the best of health. I think any well-meaning person would want the former president healthy. Whatever is in his mind and his heart right now, I hope these things will be something that he would find peace in as he celebrates his 80th birthday. Yun siguro.
Okay, thank you, Elson. Next question from Pamela Vasquez of Radyo sa Istrenta.
Good afternoon po. Kay Kong Jill po, reaction lang po or parang yung pagkakaaresto po ba kay dating Pangulo Duterte ay do you see it as an advantage for the House prosecution team at least po?
Advantage.
Being him being the legal counsel of the Vice President.
Ano ba makukuha namin doon sa pag-aresto sa kanya? It's just that sila yung nawalan. Actually, yung respondent, si Vice President Sara Duterte, kasi nawalan siya ng isang legal counsel. But for us, I guess wala naman pong epekto, no? Yung pagkakaresto, because this is totally separate and distinct doon sa issue ng impeachment, no? We have to remember that the one who is being charged is the Vice President, and the subject of the arrest is no less than the former President Digong.
And then if I'm not mistaken po, kahapon nag-meeting po ulit ang mga House Prosecution Panel. Any update po or developments po regarding the meeting?
Yes, this is part of our preparation. The prosecutors are meeting regularly. And of course, we have already assigned the prosecutors for each and a particular article. And we already group ourselves based on the articles that are assigned to us. And again, we continue to study. There are discussions among public and private prosecutors. And until this time, of course, we are waiting for any development with regard to the impeachment case. But we just want to assure everyone that we're doing our best. We're studying this case, and we want to appear before the impeachment trial fully prepared.
And speaking of the private prosecutors, kung meron na po bang mga napili for, or kahit initial man lang po? For
Yes,
that?
we have private prosecutors already, but it's not for me to divulge who they are. But in the proper time, no, malalaman naman po kung sino yung ano. And then kasama na po sila sa aming preparasyon, no. We meet regularly, nag-uusap-usap kami, and of course we strategize on how we will present our witnesses, including our documentary evidence.
Sa ngayon po kung may mga may other challenges pa po ba na na-encounter so far, kasi nung nakaraan pong press conference with Kong Chua, ang sinabi niya po is yung possible tampering of evidence and yung well-being nga po ng mga witnesses. So ngayon meron po bang other challenges na na-encounter ang panel?
Well, for us, that remains to be a concern. Again, the tampering of evidence, the probable witnesses to be presented. Other than that, probably, of course, the issue whether or not to start the trial. Kasi andun talaga yung pinaka-main issue eh. Whether or not the Senate should already start the trial. No? So it's not us we're saying that we have to conduct the trial now. It's the Constitution. So that's our basis on why the Senate should already convene and sit as an impeachment court. And the trial shall start forthwith.
And then for my last question po, any Kongs po can answer. Hingi lang po kami ng reaction regarding nga po dun sa sinabi ni Vice President Sara Duterte kahapon sa ambush interview niya. Ang sabi niya po na, I warned you about the budget. I'm warning all of you about the election cheating. So parang pinag-iingat niya nga po yung public doon sa possible election cheating sa midterm election. So any reactions po?
This comes from an elected official who said she'll kill the president, the first lady, and the speaker of the house. I don't know if you can even dignify the statement with anything.
Ano yun? Diversion ulit. Alam mo naman yung mga tactics nila. Pero hindi ko rin maisip kung paano siya mandadaya sa eleksyon. Paano niya gagawin? Eh, hindi naman siya tumatakbo. So baka may iba siyang plano sa mga kasama niya. So wala yun. Fake news.
Iba, Mil Kirgunan from DZRH.
Good afternoon, Congressman. To Attorney Bongalon, sir, mag-a-apply ba yung request ng pamilya ni former President Rodrigo Duterte for a writ of habeas corpus?
Well, I just checked sa social media. I guess it was Attorney Panelo together with his son. They filed a petition for writ of habeas corpus before the Supreme Court. So probably let the Supreme Court decide. No, this case is unprecedented. No, we have to remember. I guess if I'm not mistaken, it's the first Filipino and a high-ranking public official who was subjected before an international tribunal. Hindi pa ito nangyari noong mga nakarang taon. So we will let the Supreme Court decide on it. and we are confident that the Supreme Court will um, decide on this in favor of justice.
Thank you, Congressman Bongalon. Since wala pa hong paliwanag ang Office of the House Secretary General, pwede bang ipaliwanag Kong Jude Asidre kung ano po ang protocol? Kailan pa ba ng Travel Authority, if ever, sumunod si Congressman Paulo Duterte sa The Hague, Netherlands? Salamat po.
Well, yes po. Kahit nga po ako pag binibisita ko asawa ko sa Thailand, kailangan ko rin ng travel clearance. Eh. Lahat po kami duty bound to seek for travel clearance kung ito ay personal trip and travel authority if it's an official trip. I think there's no exemption to that.
Salamat po.
Thank you, Milky. Dwight De Leon from Rappler.
Hello po, good morning po. In your statements today, you underscored the importance of the former president's arrest on an ICC warrant, highlighting this is about seeking accountability and justice for the families of the victims. Do you think that the Philippines under the Duterte administration made a mistake when it withdrew from the International Criminal Court?
I would not say that it was a mistake. I think it was a very convenient way for them to avoid accountability. They must have seen this coming, and clearly our withdrawal from the ICC has made it difficult for those who were pursuing the case at the ICC to make the government or the administration that time cooperate with whatever proceeding or investigation that was being carried out. So sa tingin ko hindi mistake eh. Ito talaga yung plano nila. Isa lang nangyari, mali ang plano nila.
Okay. Well, for me, again, it was not a mistake. Probably it was a belated reaction on the filing of the cases against the ICC. So siguro nakita nila na pwedeng manghimasok ang isang International Criminal Court. But the problem was the case was already filed and the ICC already assumed jurisdiction. And even with the withdrawal from the ICC, wala nang magagawa eh. Nag-acquire na sila ng jurisdiction. In fact, the investigation has already started. And there are sufficient grounds to believe that the respondent committed crimes against humanity, specifically murder, in relation to the implementation on the war on drugs. So that's my take about it. No, it was not a mistake. It was a belated reaction on the filing of the EG case in anticipation for the ICC, which will come in to pursue him and of course charge him in the International Tribunal.
Kahapon po, Congresswoman Geraldine Roman said it's time for the Philippines to rejoin the ICC. What's your personal take po? Kayo pong tatlo.
Personally, I don't see any problem why we shouldn't. Diba? If there is that step and if there is that initiative on the part of the administration, I would support it. But then again, this is a matter for the administration to decide. Senate naman ang nag-concur with treaties that we accede to. So, but on the part of the House, I don't think there, as a congressman, personally, I don't think, from the perspective of the House, I don't think there's anything na, there's, kumbaga, kung ano mang stand namin, it wouldn't matter really because we're not the ones deciding on that issue.
I answered that that question siguro mga tagal 6 months na dapat talagang i-consider ulit na I mean it's just me. Should consider na rejoining not because of what happened today but matagal ko na pong nasagot yun. Siguro sabi ko in cases na maulit-ulit mga ganitong problema so meron pa rin tayong tool or meron tayong measuring stick for that.
For me, I totally agree that the Philippine government should rejoin with the ICC or to shine again as a member of the Rome Statute. The importance of being a member of this is that there are crimes that if the state or the government has failed to conduct a genuine investigation or prosecution of particular crimes. And what are those? Crimes against humanity, war crimes, genocide, or crimes of aggression. And if the state or the government has failed to act on it and provide justice to the victims, where do we go now? So that's why it's important. It's for the protection of the people. And the state should, well, for me, it's our duty to give protection to our people. And one way of doing this is for us to rejoin in the Rome Statute.
Follow-up lang po dun sa tanong kanina. Ano pong mensahe nyo kay Senator Bato? So, has been missing in action for the past 2 days, 2 to 3 days. Parang last na online siya sa Viber, parang last Sunday pa. And in past interviews, he said that he's ready to face the International Criminal Court. Sabi niya, bring it on in one of his interviews for the campaign.
Siguro ako, more on yung okay lang ba siya kasi kung 2 days siyang literally missing o walang statements or walang communication. Siguro mas importanteng masagot muna yun kung nasan siya kasi I'm sure if he hasn't reacted or hasn't commented or usually dapat nandun na siya, then I would assume na he's doing something na mas importante. Wala naman ako makitang bagay na mas importante na kailangan niyang mag-react or sumagot. So, I just want to know if he's okay.
Alam mo, mga halal na opisyal, no? I usually the standard for us to follow the law is the expectation is double than the usual. I think Senator Bato, I would like to appeal to his sense of nationalism, of course, his sense of public duty to submit to the rule of law. Hindi ho option sa amin yon as elected officials. Sinumpang tungkulin po namin yon. At sana dito ay makita natin ang kanyang pagtupad sa kanyang sinumpang tungkulin.
Last question na lang po from my end. I know sinabi nyo na, this is more than just politics, pero balikan ko lang doon kasi some critics are saying that there's no turning back from this fallout between the Marcoses and the Dutertes, and that the Marcoses have no choice now but to ensure that the Dutertes won't be able to return to power in 2028 because the Dutertes will be vengeful and they would seek revenge, and kayo you're also among the faces of the administration and now in the impeachment trial. For House lawmakers, this make the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara a non-negotiable?
Mahirap kasi pag pinagsama-sama natin lahat, 'di ba? I think part of the discipline that us as legislators, the Senate as the impeachment court later on, is to be able to determine talaga the level of accountability of every personality involved. Like for this AJK, wala naman talaga kaming kinalaman bilang house, no? Other than we conducted the Quadcom and able to add clarity because hindi naman kami party sa case, hindi naman kami ang nag-file, hindi naman kami nagparesto. Diba? Other than the fact that we, of course, with the hearings, was able to provide a better perspective of what really happened. So I think to say na all of these are lumped together is if they're part of one big plan, para sa akin, kaya nga ako paulit-ulit dun sa AJK victims kasi moment nila to eh. Sila to eh. Sila yung 7 years nag-antay before they can even see a glimmer of justice. And they're finally seeing the light. They're finally seeing that opportunity na mabigyan ng katarungan yung mga nawala sa kanila, yung mga pinatay nilang mga kamag-anak or kapamilya. And I think to reduce everything to a political narrative is, to say the least, disrespectful eh. Diba? Not only disrespectful for the law, not only disrespectful to the Filipino people, but disrespectful to the memory of all those whose rights have already been violated. Hanggang kailan natin papayagan ang paglalapastangan na to?
To add lang, syempre, nasa kamay na po yan ng mga korte. Impeachment court, sa Senate, yung sa ICC. To piggyback dun sa nasabi nga ni Kong Jude, talagang ang numero uno na concern dito is yung maserve po yung justice. That justice has to run its course. And sabi ko nga, and there has to be an end to the story. And it's not political in that way, but we are in a political atmosphere. So automatically, ano bang term doon? Yung narrative nito will always be political kasi nga naglalaro po tayo sa political atmosphere. But sabi ko nga, together with Kong Jude, yung hustisya po at saka accountability ang tinitingnan natin at the end of the day. And kung ano man yung maging resulta nun, then tatanggapin po natin. Tatanggapin po namin dito sa House of Representatives. As long as yung mga naging biktima, di ba? Yung ano yun malaking question mark po sa kanila yung talagang yan ang tanong ng buhay na nila ngayon. So, kung ano man po yung maging resulta ng ICC at saka ng impeachment, tanggap po natin yun, no matter what.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Dwight. Big Sumintak from Net25.
Magandang hapon po. Attorney Jel Bungalon. Sir, will you please enlighten us, non-lawyers, regarding doon sa contention ng legal panel ni former President Duterte? Kaya sila nag-file ng petition for certiorari and TRO and now habeas corpus sa Supreme Court na nagkaroon daw ng procedural lapses doon sa execution ng arrest warrant from ICC kasi supposed to be daw, even Senator Cayetano, sinabi niya na yung arrest warrant ay dapat i-validate pa ng local competent court before na i-execute.
Okay. With respect to that issue, I haven't read their petition, petition for certiorari and the petition for writ of habeas corpus. But, well, I assume that their contention is that there were procedural lapses in the implementation of the warrant, number one, because according to them, probably the Philippines should not recognize that warrant, because we are no longer a party or a member under the Rome Statute. So yun yung sinasabi nila. Well, my understanding of this issue is that the warrant of arrest was validly issued by the International Tribunal, particularly the ICC. And although the Philippines is not a member, is no longer a member of the Rome Statute, but the warrant of arrest was coursed through the Interpol, of which our country, the Philippines, is a long-time member of this organization. And under that, we are duty-bound, we are under-obligated to effect and implement the warrant. So, being a member, meron ho tayong obligasyon na through our Philippine National Police or the law enforcement agencies to implement and effect the warrant. So ginawa lang naman ng ating pong gobyerno yung kanilang trabaho na with the issuance of the warrant of arrest, kailangan nila po yun i-serve kay Pangulong Duterte. At yung sa petition for writ of habeas corpus, of course, they really want the body of President Duterte, to be returned in this country. But I guess it should be a matter that the Supreme Court should decide. And also, there are legal remedies available on the part of the respondent, on the part of President Duterte. So probably they can file a motion or a petition with the ICC, considering that in a few hours, of course, the president will be turned over to the authorities of the ICC, which has the jurisdiction over the case. And yun po yung mga kailangan natin abangan, And again, as mentioned nga, this is unprecedented. Hindi pa to nangyari before eh. And that is why, well, once and for all, for the Supreme Court to decide with respect to that issue, regarding that procedural lapses. And of course, hindi yung fact na kailangan po i-validate, by being a member of the Interpol, of course, as part of the global community, we should cooperate with respect to transnational crimes like terrorism, cyber crimes, hijacking, human trafficking. So these are crimes that are being committed across the country. For instance, let me illustrate. What if a particular individual, a foreign individual, committed a serious crime, for instance, crimes against humanity, in a particular foreign country, at yung akusadong yon lumipad dito sa ating bansa, to seek, probably para makapag-evade ng justice, para magtago, and the ICC issued a warrant, for that arrest of that particular person. So, ano bang gusto mong ibig sabihin? Hindi ba kikibo ang ating pong bansa na hulihin ang isang individual na gumawa ng isang seryosong krimen sa ibang bansa? So, magiging pangit ang implikasyon nito. Baka isipin ng mga mamamayan o na ibang mga neighboring countries na baka magiging safe haven for criminals itong ating bansa if we will not comply with our obligation under Interpol. So again, we have to respect the legal process. We have to trust the legal process. So yun po yung aking komento patungkol po dyan.
Another question, Attorney Jill, regarding impeachment. Sir, can you confirm na based on the information from the Senate, na supposed to be this day, magkakaroon kayo ng ocular inspection mismo doon sa nire-request nyo na room assignment, pero pinospone daw kasi this afternoon, magmi-meeting uli ang prosecution panel regarding the next move on the impeachment against the Vice President after the arrest of former President Duterte.
Well, probably an official request was already sent to the Senate, for us to asking the Senate, through the Senate President, na bigyan po kami ng isang kwarto, in anticipation for the trial, wherein doon ho kami tutuloy at doon yung mga paghahanda na gagawin namin bago po magsimula ang impeachment trial. Pero kami pong mga public prosecutors together with the private prosecutors ay nagkaroon po ng pag-meeting kahapon. At ganun pa din yung aming pong paghahanda sa magiging impeachment trial. Of course, yung division of labor or yung assignment of task were already given to the respective members of the prosecution panel. Let's wait and see what would be the next move of the prosecutors dito pong mga darating na araw. But then again, if given the chance, mabuti na din po na magkaroon kami ng pagkakataon na makabisita, at least parte po ng aming preparasyon yan sa aming trial. We have to be familiarized with the environment wherein doon po mangyayari yung trial. So parte po yung ng aming pong mga preparasyon. Wala ho kaming meeting ngayong hapon.
Thank you, Vic. Janes Capanti from GMA Online.
Good afternoon, sir. About nabanggit din kasi ni Kong Jude to kanina yung Pangilinan versus Cayetano na ruling of the Supreme Court stating that the Philippines is still obligated to cooperate with ICC proceedings provided that yung alleged crimes happened during when we were still a party to the Rome Statute and the complaint was filed, the proceedings were initiated prior to the withdrawal. Given this Supreme Court decision, do you think the Marcos government stands on solid legal ground in effecting the arrest?
Well, I think as just to be consistent with what the president said, no, he cooperated with the Interpol, taking into consideration that we have our own obligations to the Interpol, which are separate with that our obligation to the ICC, and I think that alone is already a solid, without even solid basis, without even having to appeal to the jurisprudence set by Pangilinan versus Cayetano, no, dun pa lang may kuan na. Kasi just dadagdag ko lang yung sinabi ni Kong Jill. Maraming, like for example, maraming mga Pilipino ang nasasangkot o di kaya naging biktima ng human trafficking, for example. At marami dito, especially when you talk about transnational crime, ang main actor talaga dito, Interpol. And I think that justifies significantly the need to cooperate with the Interpol in this regard. But nonetheless, even without that, had the administration chose to apply the provision, to cite the provisions of the decision ng Pangilinan versus Cayetano, that would have bolstered the position of the administration. But even if we don't go there, the decision itself to cooperate with the Interpol provides already a solid foundation, a solid ground for the Marcos administration to take due course, to take the course of action that they have done yesterday.
Kung may additional. Sir, kayo. Others po baka may additional.
Yes, we have to remember that the decisions of the Supreme Court form parts of the law of the land. So with that, the administration has a strong legal ground when, of course, they cooperated, no, with the implementation of the warrant by virtue of being a member of the Interpol, not because we are a member of the ICC. So I think that's clear, no, to everyone. The action was made not because we are a member of the ICC, but because we are a member of the Interpol, and under that, we are duty bound, to act. Of course, we have to maintain our diplomatic relations with other countries. What if on our side mangyari din yung ganitong bagay? We want a fugitive, no, who is hiding in other country, and we want that fugitive to be taken. So of course, we will expect to that particular country to do the same, no, to cooperate, to arrest that particular person and bring that to justice and face the trial in court here or in the International Tribunal.
Second question ko po. The PNP has placed its regional offices and national support units under heightened alert after concerns of potential civil unrest rallies and mass actions following the recent arrest of the former president. Do you find this necessary? Or because other camps are, interpreting this as, sign of, being afraid of the supporters of the former president? Is this necessary, placing PNP units under heightened alert?
I think it's just standard protocol. Kasi when emotions are high, syempre, kailangan nating lagyan ng presence para to make sure that law and order is upheld.
May add si sir. May add pa kayo, sir. Okay na. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lines Capanti. Sandro Ochona from Billionario TV.
Sirs, balikan ko lang yung question ni Dwight kanina. Is it possible na kaya nangyari yung nangyari kahapon because Duterte was a victim of his own wrong pronouncements? Una, yung hurrying up yung sa ICC during the Quadcom. And then yung pagkala sa ICC, kaya hindi siya pwedeng makulong dito because we're no longer a member state.
Mahirap naman eh kasi ang sabi ko nga nasa korte po talaga 'yan. So ang hirap din naman na yung accused ididiin mo. Siyempre may biktima diyan. Parang ang dating sila nga ngayon yung biktima. Pero sabi ko nga nasa ICC na 'yan. I believe during the Quadcom and many other occasions, he was even taunting the ICC na kunin nyo na ako, sunduin nyo na ako, ang tagal nyo. Tapos may kaakibat na bad word. Pero ang point ko naman dito is, nasunod naman yung procedure. It was actually being said na napaka-smooth. Ibig sabihin, na-uphold yung rule of law. So, hanggang doon na lang muna siguro yung sagot ko.
Well, as I mentioned, kanina, they probably saw this coming before, no? And I think the decision from the ICC. But clearly, the jurisprudence that we have right now, and also our standing obligations with the Interpol have worked in favor of those who filed the case. Sabi nga ni Kong Paulo, maghihiring pa naman. And I think it's very important to also continue to be vigilant. How the trial would be, no? And making sure that in the end, hopefully, the proceedings will serve the interest of justice.
Sir, kapag wala bang travel authority tapos lumabas, anong pwedeng maging repercussion nun sa House?
Yung last na umalis na walang travel authority, kilala natin yun kung sino. Yun na lang.
Sir, so pwedeng mangyari yung nangyari kay Kong Arnie Teves?
No, okay, to be fair, that is a requirement not only of members of Congress but any government official. Ang pag-apply, government employee, government official, we're all required to get a travel clearance if it's a personal visit or a personal trip, and a travel authority if it's an official trip. Hindi ho dahil congressman o lahat ho ng kawani ng gobyerno, kasama po yung mga halal na opisyal, required po. And I think, hindi ko lang alam kung ano yung penalty for that, but I understand there was a penalty, there is a penalty for that. Well, kung sa House, yung last na hindi kumuha ng travel authority, nasa East Timor pa. Well, to be honest, I don't think there's sufficient time for that. Sorry, kahit nung hindi ako congressman, empleyado ako sa House, I had to get a travel clearance. Kasi hindi ka rin papalabasin ng immigration pag wala kang travel clearance eh. The law should apply to everyone.
Conjil, as ethics.
Yes, a government official has to secure a travel clearance or travel authority regardless of the nature of his trip abroad. No, if it is official, it's a travel authority. If it is for personal trip, it's a travel clearance. This is a requirement to all public officials, including all elected officials. Why? Well, the essence of this is that there is certainty that the said official has to return home, no? Kasi they have a duty to fulfill. No, imagine an elected mayor going abroad without a travel clearance. Kailan ba siya uuwi? Eh, may mga trabaho siyang kailangan na gampanan eh. So it applies to all. It's not just for the elected official, and anyone who violated this rule can face an administrative charges, no, for violating this particular requirement, no. So like kami, kahit yung travel abroad namin is for a personal trip or bakasyon, we have to secure travel clearance, and we have to present this before an immigration officer, no. So yun po yung patakaran diyan patungkol sa mga foreign trips abroad.
Thank you, Sandro. Earl Tobias from IBC 13.
Kongs, good afternoon po. Sa misa po para sa mga EJK victims kahapon sa isang simbahan sa Payatas, nakausap ko po si Nanay Yunina, isang lola na nag-aalaga ngayon sa dalawang apo na dahil napatay ang kanyang manugang na si Dante, 31 years old, vendor lang daw po ng gulay. Until now daw po, paminsan-minsan bumabalik pa rin si Nanay Yunina doon sa police station na malapit kung saan natagpuan yung bangkay ni Dante para tanungin kung sinong pumatay doon sa manugang niya. Yung asawa daw po, heartbreaking man pero dysfunctional na daw, hindi na raw magampanan yung pagiging nanay at hanggang ngayon daw natatakot pa rin kahit na 2017 na nangyari yung pagpatay. Sir, do you think yung ganitong nangyari, pati yung parang tahasan lang na pagtatag ng mga ibang netizens sa social media na mga adik naman yung napatay ni Duterte, anong implication nito na parang dahil na-normalize ng dating pangalawang pangulo yung patayan, yung krimen, yung ganitong karumal-dumal na mga senaryo, parang naging manhid na lang po ba yung publiko? Tapos, paano naman po sila na until now, as justice is going to be served sa ICC sakaling mahusgahan, paano naman po yung iba pang wala pa ring hawak na sagot sa ngayon kung sino pumatay sa mga kaanak nila, Kongs? Thank you po.
Babalikan ko ulit. Ang pagpatay ay krimen. Illegal ang pagpatay, ang AJK ay illegal. Ang sino mang pumatay ay kailangan managot sa batas. And I think that has to be clear, no? Because the rule of law cannot be a choice between mercy and justice. Hindi ho namimili ang batas kung sino ang papanigan. Pinapanigan lang ho ng batas palagi ang katarungan at katotohanan. Kaya, alam mo, marami pang mas malungkot na kwento kaysa dyan, no? May alam ako na isang lola na napatay sa isang operation yung apo niyang 3 years old sa araw ng birthday ng batang yon. Kasi iniwan niya yung bata kasi yung lola bumili ng pampansit. Pag uwi niya, tadtad na ng bala yung bahay. Meron akong nakilala na AJK victim, 17 years old na siya ngayon. At the time na pinatay yung buong pamilya niya halos 5 years ago, mga 11-12 siya. Pinatay sa harapan niya yung tatay, yung kapatid niyang lalaki at yung nanay niya. These are sad stories, no? And what even makes it sadder, mas nakakalungkot na nung 7 taon na dumaan, they had no choice but to pin their hopes on a foreign court. 'Di ba? Parang sa ngayon, kinukot siya na sinasabing we're surrendering our sovereignty. Pero kung isipin mo, mas nakakalungkot na kung ikaw nasa side ng mga kapamilya na napatay, na kailangan mong umasa sa isang korte na sobrang layo, na hindi mo makuha yung inaasa mong katarungan dun sa mga pulis, sa mga korte, dito mismo sa bansa natin. And I think this is for me the impact of what's happening yesterday. 7 years pinagkait sa kanila any glimmer of hope na magkakaroon sila ng hustisya, at kahapon dumating yon. At alam kong may trial pa na susunod. At meron pang pagkakataon, kahit si former President Duterte, may pagkakataon din siyang kumbaga, i-defend ang sarili niya. Pero in the end, let's allow justice to take due course. Let's not reduce this to a political narrative. Let's not just look at the political motives of whosoever, di ba? Isipin naman natin yung buhay na nawala, yung mga taong napatay. Yun talaga dapat ang nakatuon ng attention natin. Kahit sino naman siguro, mapresidente man siya o hindi, kung di umano ganyan ang krimen na ginawa nila, I think they should be made accountable for that.
Thank you, Kong. Follow up lang do. Should there be any firmer legal action as of now? Given na maybe si Nana Yunina ay representasyon din ng ilan sa mga kaso na until now, sadly, may mga men in uniform na mga ilan na service pa rin nasangkot sa nakaraang madugong war on drugs. And parang on the local scope, ini-implement pa rin nila yung somewhat hindi ibigay yung police report, hindi ibigay yung mga tanong sa kasagutan nila. And then pwede bang yun ang maging sentro sa pagtuloy ng Quadcom?
Well, tama ka doon. Siguro itong isang magandang nangyari from the Quadcom is that lahat ng ito ay nailabas natin. At kung sino man ang nagtatago from behind an official role or nagtatago sa likod ng kapangyarihan, nailabas natin lahat to. We were able to give some breathing space siguro na lang naman para dun sa pamilya ng mga AJK victims, no? And hopefully that would, kasi naniniwala tayo dun sa AJK, kaparte siya ng sistematikong pamamaraan ng yung pagpapasawalang bahala sa value ng buhay dahil lang sa war on drugs, 'di ba? Nung kawalan ng katarungan. So we want to see the pattern in that. And hopefully with what we've learned from the Quadcom and as the Quadcom progresses, so yung sinabi kanina, we're hopeful that more and more of our police officers and those who were actually involved in implementing it, especially those yung sumunod lang, yung naipit doon sa kill quota, yung mga naipit doon sa promotion, magkaroon ng pagkakataong ilahad din yung katotohanan ayon sa kanilang nalalaman.
Thank you, sir. Last from my end, impeachment lang po. Prosec Jill, question lang po. Kasi nung nakaraan with Prosec Chua, ang pinag-uusapan namin is that paano yung complications if in case nga pumunta ng Netherlands si BP Sara Duterte and then maging abala siya doon as of course assisting her father. Pero yun nga po, nangyari na. Nasa Netherlands siya ngayon. Walang certainty kung kailan babalik o mananatili ba siya beside her father. Ano pong mga complications na madulot nito sa impeachment? And ano po yung best possible route ngayon? Dapat bang madaliin? O mas naging ideal ba ngayon yung meron munang leeway time bago mag-July na yun ang sundin? Kasi busy si Sara Duterte.
Well, first and foremost, it has the Senate should act whether or not to convene themselves as an impeachment trial court. No, again, we're not saying na ito po ay dapat gawin na, but it's the Constitution, no, the constitutional provision that the trial by the Senate shall start forthwith. So, with respect to that, wala na ho kaming magagawa doon no? Nasa kamay na o yung bola nasa Senado na, no? So, let's wait and see, no, kung kailan nila po aaktuhan yan. Pangalawa, siguro malalaman natin kung ano yung magiging implikasyon once na nag-start na ang impeachment trial. For now, of course, as a daughter, as the Vice President, pumunta siya para mag-assist sa kanya pong tatay na si Pangulong Duterte. So, hindi pa namin makita kung ano magiging implication nito. But most probably, if the respondent, no less than the Vice President, has to file his answer to the impeachment complaint, of course, she has to sign that particular pleading. No, she has to take an oath before a notary public. No, so it requires personal appearance.
Pero sorry, Prosec, kung ikaw po tatanungin, would you stay firm na dapat personal pa rin humarap si BP Sara regardless sa mangyayari sa dahig?
It's not for us to tell whether or not the BP should appear. No, of course, they have their own strategy. No, so it's up to them whether or not for them to ask and tell the Vice President to appear before the impeachment trial court. So yung mga bagay na yan, makikita natin along the way, no? Kung talagang merong necessity. Of course, syempre pag-aaralan din yan ng kanila po mga defense counsel. So titignan nila kung ano yung mas paborable na gawin nila kung talagang ihaharap nila si Vice Presidente. Pero kung ako tatanungin, it's better for the Vice President to appear before the impeachment trial court.
Thank you po. Thank you, Kong.
Thank you, Earl. Kim Salinas from A to Z.
Sir, good afternoon po. Sir, merong allegedly accusation na kidnapping daw yung ginawa kay former President PRRD. Ano sir yung comments nyo dito? At the same time po, yung nangyari po bang pag-aresto kay PRRD kahapon na nasa ICC na siya, ay ito ba ay nagpapatunay na justice served dun sa mga EJK victim na inyo pong naisiwala through Quadcom, sir?
Legal po lahat ng nangyari kahapon at wala pong nalabag na batas o procedure. So hindi po totoo na kidnapping yung nangyari. Again, ganun po ang atake nila. Politika yung narrative nila. So they're appealing to emotions. But again, lahat po yan ay maayos na naisagawa at naayon sa batas. Ano na yung second question mo?
Kumbaga sir, itong nangyari kahapon is justice served na doon sa mga EJK victim, lalo na yung mga naisiwalat na mga paghihirap ng mga EJK victim during the Quadcom hearing, sir.
Hindi pa kasi mag-umpisa pa lang yung trial eh. So, pero sabi nga nila, this is some sort of vindication for the victims as well.
Hindi ko talaga alam kung bakit masasabi nating kidnapping eh. Ngayon lang ako nagkaroon ng kidnapping na may blow-by-blow account eh. Kung ano, online streaming pa, di ba? Kung kidnapping yun, ewan ko na lang. Kung ano, dami nilang sinasabi kasi hindi, katulad yung sinabi, hindi naman nila maharap yung mga victims direkta eh. Mabuti nga ngayon, may live stream pa sila. Yung mga napatay dati, katok lang, patay na kagad, di ba?
Well, for me, it's not a state kidnapping, no, as accused by the Vice President, because the arrest was effected by virtue of a warrant that was issued, no. So yung kidnapping forcibly talaga kinuha po yung isang tao against his will. But with this situation, we have a warrant of arrest that was issued, no, by a competent court, no. Which is the International Tribunal Court. Having said that, again, the Philippines has to act, no, by virtue of being a member of the Interpol. So in other words, above board lahat ng naging proseso, no, ng pag-aresto. Kasama po yun doon sa standard operating procedure ng Philippine National Police, no? Binasahan ng warrant of arrest, ng Miranda rights, at binigyan ng pagkakataon ng ating pong Pangulo. Hindi naman natin nakita na forcibly he was taken by the police authorities, no? In fact, he was assisted, pinapunta sa isang kwarto together with his lawyers, with his family members, and of course the police authorities gave him the medical attention that is necessary. Of course, apart from that, of course, yung pagbasa ng kanyang Miranda rights. So again, lahat, no, SOP yun sa pag-effect ng arrest ng ating pong mga pulisya.
Thank you. Sai Chua from Congress TV.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, do you have an idea kung ano oras darating si President Duterte sa The Hague, Netherlands? Sino po ang kanyang mga kasama at ano po yung magiging proseso once na dumating po siya? Paano po ang turnover? Do you have an idea?
Well, I don't have any idea kung ano yung estimated time of arrival, ano, but of course, yung proseso kasi niyan, of course, he will be detained in before the ICC facilities in The Hague, Netherlands, no, because the trial doon po gaganapin yung trial eh. So, may mga nakikita naman tayo sa social media na pinakita yung parang magiging detention facility, no, ng isang naaresto because of a particular crime. So, of course, the arrest is necessary to secure his attendance doon sa magiging trial. And that is one way of acquiring jurisdiction over the person of the accused. No? Because they cannot proceed with the trial if they will not acquire jurisdiction over the person of the accused. Now that he is already arrested and of course he will be detained inside the ICC facilities, of course, magsusunod na yung trial niyan.
Yes, sir. Sino po kaya yung mga kasama niya doon, sir? Will he be accompanied by
Well,
by anyone?
nakita man naman natin no sa litrato na lumabas kagabi, he was accompanied by former Executive Secretary Mejaldea, and in front of him is a woman. I don't know him, a nurse, no nurse, a nurse, and the executive assistants, and then of course together with other police authorities.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shai. Billy Vegas from Abante Politico.
Sorry, local lang po kay Kong Jill. Kong Jill, may lumabas na report. May kinalaman daw po kayo ni Kong Saldico dun sa pag-divert po ng pondo para dun sa distrito na tinatakbuhan mo sa paparating na election po.
Okay, so of course, I am together with Kong Zaldi has already issued a official statement about it, no. But in addition to that, no, insofar as I am concerned, unang-una, kung sino man po yung nag-aakusa, yun po yung may burden of proof, no. Ibig sabihin, yun dapat yung may obligasyon na magpatunay. Now, my question is, asan po yung kanyang ebidensya na ako po nakialam, nagtapyas, at nag-divert ng pondo para po sa 1st District of Albay. So in other words, wala hong basihan. It is a false accusation. In fact, it is a malicious accusation against me, no? Sa anong rason? Probably politika, no? Para siraan ho tayo. Pangalawa, marami mo na po siyang interviews na ginawa na kung saan lumipas na ang buwan ng Enero at by that time, alam na natin, lumabas na yung General Appropriations Act. It was already uploaded before the official website of the Department of Budget and Management. It is a publicly available document. Pero during those times, January, February, never naman na-mention yung pangalan ko, no? Na ako daw nakialam at nagtapyas ng budget for the 1st District of Albay. But why only now? No? Marso na, halos magtatatlong buwan, inimplicate yung pangalan ko. Ako daw nakialam sa budget ng 1st District. So again, it's a malicious accusation, no? Of course, to tarnish my reputation. And of course, pangatlo, alam mo, the most prudent thing to do, dapat nagsulat sana sila sa House leadership, no? And ask, ano po nangyari sa budget ng 1st District of Albay? Kumbaga, let's do it through a proper channel. Don't just accuse someone, no? Several months has already elapsed, tapos babanggitin mo lang yung pangalan ko dahil magkalaban kami sa politika. I think that's not fair, no? Dapat nagsulat sila, nagtanong sana sa House leadership ano yung nangyari. At least official yung naging action, no? You cannot just go somewhere and of course ask a journalist or a news writer na you will just say this without any evidence being afforded, no? And of course, pang-apat, he was saying, no, and pardon me for, of course, mentioning the name of the late Congressman Edsel Lagman. May mga interviews kasi si Mayor Crisel na sinasabi niya, Congressman Edsel Lagman was attending session via online, no? And all of us, knowing Congressman Edsel, alam natin na hindi yan nagpapahuli sa mga diskusyon dito sa Kongreso, no? Ano man ang mga issue, ano man ang mga usapin, hindi po nagpapahuli si Congressman Edsel Lagman. So dapat, kung totoo yun, na uma-attend session via online, bakit hindi po nag-react? No? Bakit hindi po nag-question about the budget? And ang budget naman po, hindi naman isang taong gumagawa niyan. It's a product of a collegial body of the House of Representatives, including the Senate. So, bakit mo isisisi sa isang tao? no? And someone, and then of course other media personalities saying, hindi ko daw dinipensahan yung budget ng first district. The last time I checked, I am a representative of party list Ako Bicol, no? Yung constituency ko, 6 provinces of Albay. And the last time I checked, meron pong congressman sa first district of Albay. The budget was signed before the end of 2024. Congressman Ed Salagman was still present. So bakit ibsisisi sa akin at bigyan yung obligasyon para depensahan yung budget ng ibang kongresista? Halimbawa, ito po si Congressman Paulo Ortega, no? Ba't ko naman papakialaman yung mga initiated projects niya? Di ba? Ba't ko papakialaman yung pondo ng distrito niya sa La Union? Kasi ako, bilang isang kongresista, meron din ako mga initiated projects na nilalabi at gusto rin mapopondohan. So, eting conflict eh. Kasi yung mga in-initiate kong projects within the first district of Albay. So, kung gusto ko talagang tapyasan yan, bakit pa ako maglalagay ng mga pondo doon? Di ba? So, it means that, election season, sisimula na naman yung siraan. That's why I appeal to the one who write that statement na hindi man lang kinuha yung side ko. It was a one-sided news article na hindi man lang nag-effort na kuhanin yung aking pong panig or pahayag o reaksyon doon sa malisyosong akusasyon laban po sa akin. So sana naman maging patas lang tayo sa ating pong pagpapahayag, lalong-lalo na sa mga media, dahil we do not want to mislead, especially our constituents. No? Kung ito po ay para lang sa pansariling interes, just to serve your political agenda, wala pong saysay ho yan. No? Wala hong basehan. And that's why I challenge her to go to the court and prove that Congressman Jill Bungalon diverted that particular fund. So yun po yung aking lection.
Thank you, Billy. Rosalie Cas from UNTV.
Sorry po, mahabol pa. Sa tingin niyo po yung pag-aresto kay FPRRD kahapon will lead to political instability, lalo na po yung mga nasa kampo ni dating Pangulong Duterte, specifically former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, ay nanawagan sa mga taga-suporta niya na mag-rally sa EDSA.
Maganda yung filter niya dun sa bagong Zoom. Hindi ko anong tawag doon. Hindi na-appreciate ko. Ang ganda lang kasi, maliwalas. They've been trying to do this to the Marcos administration sa government for almost 2 years na, 'di ba? Naalala natin yung press release yung video na ito ang kasamaan laban sa kadiliman. Pero from the last few weeks po nakita po natin na gumaganda po yung ekonomiya natin. So, for me, tingin ko they will try to make noise. They will try to have their rallies. Pero tingin ko hindi naman siya mag-cause ng direct na instability. Talagang more on yung filter ang gusto ko malaman kung ano yung ginagawa. Kasi maganda eh. Oh, maganda. Ano ba yan? Yung 360? Ano talaga?
Beauty Plus. Alam nyo, levity aside, no? I think instead of the noisy ones will always be noisy. I think that's one thing for sure. Pero kung kakagatin ng tao, ako alam mo, I doubt. We've seen yung ekonomiya natin, katulad ng sinabi ni Kong Paulo, paganda ang fundamentals natin. Pangalawa, naipakita natin hindi lang sa ating bansa kundi sa buong mundo na the rule of law is applied equally to everyone in this country. Na ang ating presidente has shown strong leadership. President Marcos has shown strong leadership yesterday. Our police and military has shown their professionalism in throughout the operations, no? And then even our civil society, yung totoong civil society, have seen the fruit of their hard work for the last 7 years. itong mga paring nag-aaruga doon sa mga AJK victims. And that indicates a vibrant civil society sector in the country. All of this put together, I think they present stability, no? Political noise will always be noisy, but what matters is who delivers and who produces the results.
Last question na lang po on my part. Kanina po kasi nabanggit nyo rin po, Kong Jude, na nakakalungkot din na manggaling pa yung pag-aresto sa isang korte sa labas ng bansa para makamit ang hustisya sa mga biktima ng EJ case. Pero ito po bang pag-surrender ng Philippine government kay former President Duterte sa ICC, is it also an admission on the part of the government na hindi natin kayang i-prosecute ang isang katulad ng dating Pangulo na nanguna sa anti-drug war kung saan meron pong alleged EJ case o may EJ case po?
Well, obviously, during that time when all these crimes were happening, and during the times when these cases were filed, pwede nating masabing ganun nga. Kasi before naman yan sila umabot sa ICC, nag-file din yan sa Fiskalya, nag-file sa prosecutors, nagreklamo sa police. At wala naman tayong nakitang intentful attempt to prosecute or investigate. Kaya siguro umabot na sila sa The Hague. But then again, if we're looking at it cannot be, kasi yan din yung ginagamit na arguments ng mga laban dun sa ICC na proceedings, no? It cannot be the entire measure also of sa buong hudikatura natin. Diba? It's very unfair to say that because of that, it's an indicator that our justice system is not working. That would be too convenient of excuse para sa mga taong ayaw naman ibigay ang katarungan at hindi sabihin ng katotohanan in the first place. We have to be clear. Section 17 of the act defining the crimes against humanity, di ba? There's a provision there, kung hindi na nakakamali, section 16, 17 ba, that allows the state to actually turn over to an international body the prosecution of the crimes identified under that act. If I'm not mistaken, it's Republic Act 9851, di ba? So, whatever is happening is perfectly in accordance with the law. Yung sinasabi nilang surrendering our sovereignty, the fact that we are part and we are able to join an international proceeding such as the ICC is already an act of sovereignty. Hindi naman siguro tayo i-entertain doon if it's not for our sovereignty. Our ability to include in our to implement the jurisprudence in Pangilinan versus Cayetano is an act of sovereignty. The fact that we were able to turn over to the Interpol the former president is an act of sovereignty. I don't think we're surrendering anything. We're reinforcing of our ability to carry out our sovereignty.
Marian Enriquez.
Nag-start po yung Quad Committee hearings, I guess, back in August pa po, no? Tapos, very firm din yung stance din ng admin ni PBBM that they would not cooperate with the ICC probe. But despite that, nagpatuloy pa rin po din tayo and marami pong lumabas, kumbaga, sa Quadcom hearing on the EJ case. I guess my question is, did you see this coming po na darating tong araw na to na maaresto po si former PRRD?
Ako personally, I didn't see the ICC factor coming in. Personally, I would have preferred that President Duterte would have been tried under 9851 pala for crimes against humanity. So, ayun yung expectation ko. And that was also part of the recommendations of the Quad Committee to be able to prosecute him. Kasi that would have been, for me, a stronger message that we are able to prosecute one of our own and hold him accountable for the crimes that they have done. But nonetheless, the proceeding that we're doing also with the ICC is also in accordance with the same law. So it doesn't really matter who makes the judgments or what, but in the end, justice is served to the victims.
Ako din, same. Hindi ko in-expect na yung sa ICC na they will come in and pero hindi naman siguro swift kasi inabot na po tayo ng 7 years. So I share the same sentiments as Kong Jude.
Sir, what's your comment na, yun nga, sinosolidify nito na hindi kaya ng Pilipinas una, yung recommendation nga po natin ng Quadcom to file charges and crimes against humanity against former President Rodrigo Duterte, and even in the past, very, iba naman talaga yung fear noong panahon pa po ng administrasyon niya, and now, we've come to this.
Well, kasi nandun na eh. Nauna na, nakapagsimula na sila. And justice delayed is justice denied. So if we were to consider, kung ipipilit natin itong proceeding na magsisimula pa lang, bakit hindi natin gawin ang something that's already 7 years in the making? And mind you, even if I believe I would have preferred domestic court to look into the case, I have all the respect for the competence of the judges of the International Criminal Court. I'm sure that justice will be served under their watch. Hindi lang ako masyadong komportable sa thought na ginagawa natin to dahil hindi kaya ng mga korte natin, di ba? You cannot take it away. You have to put in the entire context kung ano talaga nangyari, especially during the time when the cases were filed. Kahit nga dito ito, I'll give you a personal experience. During the time of the Dutertes, ang hirap nga humanap ng abogado na magpa-file ng cases for drug cases because difficult to find someone, a lawyer, to defend someone who's accused of a drug case, di ba? So how much more for all these people? So I would have preferred that route, yes, but then again, I don't think it's a judgment on the situation where we find ourselves. It's only that for sake of facility, andyan na siya, gawin na natin.
Well, on my part, we have to remember that the crimes alleged happened during the time of his incumbency as the President of the Republic of the Philippines. And under the Constitution, the President is immune from suit. So any charges or complaints filed against the President will be dropped or will not prosper. So basically, siya po ay pananagutin after ng kanyang termino, no? And we have this principle of complementarity, no, na kung saan sinasabi doon, if the state is unwilling or unavailable to have a genuine investigation or prosecution of particular crimes, for instance, the crimes against humanity, then the ICC will take jurisdiction. In other words, kung nakikita nila na wala naman talagang pag-iimbestiga or kaya kaso man lang na na-file patungkol dito sa extrajudicial killings, then manghihimasok po ang International Criminal Court patungkol sa mga krimen kagaya ng crimes against humanity. Probably this is what's happening right now, no? For the past several years walang nakitang aksyon, no? Walang kaso at kaya assume ng jurisdiction ng ating pong ICC.
Sir, last na lang po, would wanna comment po dito sa statement ni VP Sara Duterte. This act shows the world that this government is willing to abandon its own citizen and betray the very essence of our sovereignty and national dignity. Kung Pilipino ka, hindi ka kailanman susunod sa mga dayuhan sa loob ng sarili mong bayan. We are not Filipinos for nothing, sabi ni VP Sara.
Napakaganda nga po talaga nung statement kung yun po yung ika-copy-paste po dun sa West Philippine Sea issue. But other than that, hindi po ako nag-agree sa statement na yun. Kasi napakaganda po siguro kung ang Pilipino, ang kinampihan niya, yung kapwa niya Pilipino, saka po yung mga naging EJK victims po.
For me, it's because we surrendered a fellow citizen, no? But as a state, as a government, we have a constitutional provision that we adhere to the generally accepted principles of international law, and part of which is being a long-time member of the Interpol. Again, it was not the government who initiated this case. a case that was filed during his incumbency. It was an international tribunal who issued the warrant of arrest. So basically, the Philippine government already just acted, no, by being a member of the Interpol, because the warrant of arrest was coursed through the Interpol. So we are duty bound to act on it and implement it, and it's up to the ICC to finish this trial.
Ako, I'd like to dispute yung sinabi ni ni Vice President Sara na the world sees this as our country surrendering one of our own. Alam niyo, nakikita na ibang bansa that we are able to find justice for those whom they were deprived of, itong mga EJK victims. That our country is able to step up and uphold the rule of law. Napakadali talaga for them to skirt the issue of EJK. Siguro dahil sa sinabi ni Kong Paulo, hindi naman nila ma-deny na nangyari nga na talaga yung patayan. Diba? Kaya dinadivert nila na we surrendered one of our own. Hindi po yun yung nakikita ng buong mundo. Nakikita ng buong mundo, nagkakaroon na ho ng katarungan para sa mga pamilya ng EJK victims. Yun po ang mas mahalaga. Hindi po dapat ito na sa sentro, kayo na yung sinasabi ko, paulit-ulit mo na kanina, hindi ito about kay Mr. Duterte. Ito po ay dun sa 30,000 na mga katao na hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin, mailap pa rin ang hustisya sa kanila.
Thank you, Marian. We also
Kailangan po yata maging accountable din po sila. Hindi puro sisi, hindi puro turo. Be accountable for your own actions.
Thank you, sir. We also received several questions from our colleagues who are not physically present, but some of their questions have already been addressed earlier. So I think we will just entertain two questions from Kenneth Basilio from Business World. First question niya ay, China commented on former President Duterte's arrest yesterday, urging the ICC to avoid politicizing the issue and having double standards. How do you view their statement? Anybody from the panel may respond, sir.
Well, in all due respect to our Chinese friends, we hope that they will not interfere in our domestic policies.
Thank you, sir. His second question. What kind of pushback do you expect from the Duterte camp after yesterday's arrest, and how should the administration address it?
Parang 2 taon na silang push ng push kahit na wala pong nangyayari. They've been trying to divide this government for more than 2 years. Of course, expect the unexpected. But again, sabi ko nga po, dito po sa administrasyon na to, nananaig po ang rule of law at sisiguraduhin po natin na ang state of lawlessness na pinapangarap nila ay hindi po mangyayari.
I think I can safely say that I speak for most of our group, kami nila Kong Paulo, na I think that what gives us the confidence to speak about these things is that we know we're on the right side of history. We know we're doing the right thing. We're holding criminals accountable. We're giving justice to those who have been denied them. We're doing the right thing. Kung ano man ang gawin nila, they will have to be made accountable for that before the people. Alam niyo, kung meron na lang sana silang gagawin, harapin na lang nila yung kaso sa dahig. Harapin na lang nila yung kaso sa ICC. Doon nila i-explain ang panig nila in a fair trial. And hopefully, the court will decide in favor of justice.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Today's press conference has been one of the longest. But before we conclude, do you have any final remarks to our dear honorable House leaders?
Before I turn it over to Kong Paulo, I think for everyone, no. I hope that we are able to remind everyone, whether we agree or not with what happened yesterday, is to allow people to be calm, to be sober about what's happening, to really pag-isipan natin yung mga sasabihin natin, bigyan natin ng daan ang tama at rasonableng pananaw. Let's allow reason and not emotions to dictate our actions, especially in the coming days. At lastly, siguro, panahon rin lang naman ng Kwaresma, ipagdasal natin ng isa't isa, ipagdasal natin ng dating Pangulo, lalo na't magbe-birthday siya. Ipagdasal natin ng ating bansa na lahat tayo ay magkaroon ng kapayapaan sa puso at sa ating isipan.
Maraming salamat po sa ating mga media friends at listeners. At siguro po dapat po natin laging tandaan na there will always be three sides. 'Di ba? Yung both parties, yung magkabilang side, saka yung katotohanan. Ang hinahabol po natin dito is yung katotohanan at makamit ng hustisya. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Well, siguro dahil sa mga nangyari, siguro ako po ay nag-aapila na sana maging kalmado po ang lahat, no, sa mga pangyayaring ito. Pero sana wag ho tayo magpagamit sa anuman ng mga malisyoso at mga hindi tamang impormasyon, no, na pinapakalat ng ibang tao para mas lalong maging magulo ang ating bansa. Let us remember that we are all Filipinos. Ayaw natin na bumagsak ang ating gobyerno dahil kapakanan ng ating lahat ng mga kababayan ang mga nakasalalay ho dito. So let's pray for the Philippines na sana maging mas maunlad pa ang ating bansa at umiwas sa anuman ng mga kaguluhan. So salamat po at magandang hapon po sa lahat.
Maraming salamat po ulit sa inyo. House Deputy Majority Leader and La Union, 1st District, Representative Paulo P. Ortega V, House Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs, Chairman and Tingog Party List, Jude A. Asidre, and House Assistant Majority Leader and ako Bicol Party List, Representative Jill Bungalon for joining us today. To everyone, pwede na po tayo magmerienda. Salamat po sa inyong lahat.